Hey everybody, I'm Patrick and this is Rocky Mountain Style. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm glad you gave me the opportunity by clicking on the video. And if it's not your first time here, welcome back. I appreciate you as always. Today is an exciting video for me because I love talking about perhaps my favorite boot brand. And if not my favorite, definitely one of my favorites. That's Grant Stone, of course. And today we're talking about the brass boot. So I have done an unboxing on these very boots already. I'll put a link right up here if you want to check that out. But today is what I'm considering to be the full review. So I've had these about 3 months now. And just as a little bit of a reminder, about 3 months ago, I reached out to Grant Stone. I said, hey guys, love your stuff, love your products. I've bought a lot of things over the years and would really like to be involved with you if I can in any way, shape, or form. And as gracious as they were, they said, hey, sounds fun. Pick out a pair of boots and let's see what you do with them. So I picked out these brass boots in Dune Chromexcel. Of course, that's natural Chromexcel. Famous leather from the Horween Tannery in Chicago. Probably my favorite all-time leather. I have lots of stuff in natural Chromexcel, and I actually got my wife a pair of boots in natural Chromexcel for the first time just recently. So enough about that, though. The boots are fantastic. We're going to talk about a few things today once we get through the break here. And that, of course, is how they fit, how they've worn in, if there's any surprises in sort of the fit area, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and what I would change. That's kind of the same thing. And then finally, I'm going to answer the question of, are these the best all-around boots you can buy at any price point? So that'll be an interesting one. So stick around and find out. Thanks. Okay, so let's get into the wear section, basically the fit and the wear section. So had these about 3 months. Obviously, I've not worn these every day. I wear lots of other things because I've got a lot of things to break in. And frankly, I like variety. I've never been the kind of guy that can wear one thing all the time and wear it in until it wears out. I'm like that with clothes. I'm like that with cars. Thankfully, I'm not like that with relationships. I've been married almost 11 years now. So anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so the Floyd last, that's the name of the last that they use for the brass boot, is roomier than most of their other lasts. I went ahead and got a 10D in this, which is what I have in all my other Grant Stone products, basically loafers, diesels, coast sneakers, which I'm wearing right here. So I figured that'd be a good place to start. On initial fit, I could tell that the Floyd last is a bit roomier than the Leo last, which is the diesel, the Alexander last, which is the loafers. Basically the roomiest last of theirs that I've tried on. And it was comfortable though. It was roomy, but not too big. There was really no movement of my foot or anything like that. So I was pretty confident that that was the right size. So as I've worn them and as this Chromexcel leather has stretched a little bit, I think there's a good chance that 9.5D in this actually probably would have been a better size. Given the same amount of stretch, I think these would have been literally perfect at 9.5. As it stands at 10D, they're really not too big. They're just a little bit roomier than I like, and I generally wear thicker socks with these than I would otherwise. But other than just having to wear slightly thicker socks, it's really not a negative to me at all. They're still extremely comfortable, and the fact that the design of the shaft here, the way the heel is shaped, and then the way that the laces cinch in here, I get a lot of good pressure around my heel and around my ankle, which cinches everything in. So even though I can feel the roominess up here in the toe box and I can feel, able to wiggle my toes really easily, it's not too big. It's just roomy. So I guess that's that differentiation. Roomy, but not too big. So how have they worn in? I'd say, and I tried to find some pictures in similar lighting from when I first got them to now, but it's just so hard to get the lighting the same. And leather always seems to look different, but they have darkened a little bit, as natural Chromexcel is wont to do. I think they look beautiful. I look forward to seeing sort of where they go beyond there. But beyond just the leather changing slightly, they don't have too bad creasing. I guess I shouldn't have put that down. Just a little bit of creasing here across the top of the toe box, which is sort of what you expect. I do use shoe trees in these, but that's another interesting note to say. Because there's so much volume in here, my regular size shoe trees I have that I use in all my boots after I wear them don't really do anything. They don't put any pressure on the top right here. But an acceptable normal amount of waviness increasing there, nothing too bad. So back on the sole, there's just a little bit of wear around the bottom backside of the top lift there. The soles themselves are essentially brand new looking. So I can honestly say that I think they're wearing in quite well, and I can't wait to see what they look like, after a year of wear. Which, of course, if you're here with me in 9 months, we'll do a video of it after a year. Okay, so what do I like about them? So lots of things, actually, as you would expect. So first thing I like is the overall design. I don't think that's going to be any sort of secret or any sort of contentious statement. But as far as moc-toes go, they're a little bit different than your normal moc-toe, right? So the stitch here across the top doesn't go all the way out to the edge of the boot. It's sort of recessed back closer to the laces, which give it a little bit of a different look. Uh, it doesn't have, at least these don't have a wedge sole. They're a little bit dressier looking than your normal moc-toe. It's just a unique looking boot that sort of works in any situation with any outfit. So of course I like that, and that's generally why I picked the boot. What else do I like? I like the fact that it has 5 eyelets and 2 speed hooks. That's kind of my preferred configuration. I believe that's what is also on the Thursday Captain and many other boots. But yeah, 5 eyelets, 2 speed hooks. If I had to pick any configuration, if I was building a boot from scratch, that would be it. So big fan of that. I like the sole of this. I like the fact that it's this Grant Stone proprietary sole, that it's not a Vibram mini lug. And I keep mentioning that. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of the Vibram mini lug. The reason why is because of how loud it is. Once they're broken in, they're reasonably comfortable, but just walking across my hardwood floors in the kitchen, things like that, it sounds like I'm just trying really hard to clunk along and make a really loud noise, which I dislike. These don't do that. And through 3 months, they don't have a lot of wear across my normal pressure points, so they manage to be a little softer and a little quieter without seemingly increasing the wear of the sole, at least through 3 months. And then the fourth thing I like, which is true of most Grant Stone boots, is just the amount of leather they use in the construction. So they, generally speaking, aren't cutting any corners with synthetic materials. So you've got insole, midsole, heel counter, all full, big, thick veg tan leather. You've got a full leather lining, and the only thanks to Weston from Rose Anvil, who just last week cut these in half. We can confirm exactly what's inside. The only synthetic materials are a little bit of synthetic material in the toe stiffener, and then a little bit of synthetic material near the shank, which he postulated in his video. And I'll go ahead and put a link down below, because if you haven't seen it, you should. That's probably one of his better ones, I'd say. He's postulating that the synthetic material near the shank is to eliminate any sort of squeaking or noise that may emanate from that area. So that's a good thing in my mind. Synthetic materials used intelligently for a purpose is a good thing. Synthetic materials used to replace wear areas to save money is not a good thing. And thankfully, Grant Stone doesn't do that. Let's go to the short list of things I would change about these. I'm not going to call it what I dislike. I'm going to call it what I would change. So thankfully, this is something I can change. Don't like these laces. So the ones that it came with are not the laces that are pictured on the website. They're a little thinner, they're a little dressier, and they actually end up being, and you probably won't be able to see it, they actually end up being the same style of laces that are in this Coast sneaker. So they're quite a bit thinner. And they work just fine in the Coast sneaker, because the Coast sneaker just has little holes punched in the leather here that doesn't have actual eyelets. But this thinner, sleeker, smoother lace doesn't really grab the brass eyelets very well. And so as you are moving around, or as you're trying to lace them, they move really, it's really easy to pull things out of whack. And then the laces get uneven, which really bugs me. So I end up having to relace them quite a bit. But I wanted to give the full 3 month review, with the laces they came with. But yeah, I will be in the market for new laces. So if you have any ideas of what you think would look good with a Dune Chromexcel brass boot for laces, leave me a comment below and tell me. The next thing, which is not too big of a deal and more of a programmatic thing than an issue with the boot, I wish they had more of their leather options available with a wedge sole. And the wedge sole that they do use for the two they have, I think it's a black boot and then maybe a saddle tan that come with the wedge sole. I'm not a big fan of that actual wedge sole. I don't like the scalloped look that you can see from the side. So I do love a mock toe with a wedge sole. So I wish that there were more options for the brass boot with that, because I probably would never pick up the two that they have currently. So hoping in the future that there's a little more to be had in that regard. The big question that we have here: are these the best boots, all around boots, that you can buy at any price point? Uh, I'm going to stop short of saying yes and say that if they aren't, they're definitely in the conversation for it. And here's why I say that. So, saying words like best, saying things like all around, those are completely subjective. So, what's the best to one person is not going to be the best for another person. For me, what do I need a boot for? So, even though I live in beautiful Colorado, I don't do a ton of outdoor stuff. I don't do a lot of yard work. I have an office job, basically a desk job. The things that my wife and I, my family and I like to do, we like to go out to eat. My wife and I like to go shopping, things like that. So I'm not really super rugged in my boot use. However, I do like to wear my boots, in business, smart casual situations. So I wear them to the office. I do like to, wear them in inclement weather. So I like to have a little bit of capability there, and I want them to just sort of exude style in a way. So for me, these are kind of a perfect medium, a perfect melding of all those different things. You get a little bit of rugged capability, you get a little bit of dress up ability, you get high quality, you get an interesting brand that lets you talk about boots with other people and maybe bring them into the hobby, and things like that. So for me, I used to look at other higher end boots, your seven, 800,000 dollar boots, and sort of covet those and be like, maybe eventually I'll get to the point where I can buy those and I'm comfortable buying those. But the more I'm around brands like Grant Stone, and there are a few others, Grant Stone is not the only good boot maker out there, of course. But the more I wear these and interact with the company and do things like that, the more I'm convinced that there are different boots that are good available for much more money, but I don't really think there's better boots available for me. I don't need an overbuilt Knicks boot, that weighs 6 pounds or anything like that. I don't need that. So I'm not going to buy it. There's really not much reason to spend that much money if I don't need that extra functionality. So for me, yes, these are probably the best all around boots you can buy. So I look forward to having them for many years. Hopefully, we can maybe make this boot be the first boot I actually get resold on the channel. It's hard to wear boots out when you have so many, right? But yeah, I could ramble all day, as you guys know. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. If you have any questions for me, leave them below. Let me know if you have any experience with the brass boot, which is your favorite brass boot, what you think about Grant Stone in general. So yeah, that's it. There's our 3-month review of the brass boot. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.